Bannon might be in a little bit of trouble. Now, the one-time former aide to Donald Trump had stated that he would not comply with a committee subpoena compelling him to give testimony on January 6th and how he was involved. So now Bannon's lawyer sent a letter last week informing the committee that he would not cooperate with that investigation. He claims, I got executive privilege. Oh, you got executive privilege. Oh, is that what's going on? Oh, I see. Yeah, great. So now he also, the lawyer also said that this was a matter for the committee and Donald Trump to work out, which of course they're never going to agree because Donald Trump is still asserting executive privilege. How do you assert executive privilege when you were no longer the executive? I don't understand. All right, so, but anyway, now Bannon, according to reports, now faces the prospect of criminal contempt. Now, this, of course, is on the committee to actually enforce that. But here's the thing. So now, again, this is, I should say, Bannon is one of the few people that are being subpoenaed to testify that have decided not to show up. For example, you have former Chief of Staff Mark Meadows, former Deputy Chief of Staff Dan Scavino, former Chief of Staff to the acting United States Secretary of Defense Kash Patel, and a former Trump Justice Department official Jeffrey Clark, who have been served. So now it's funny because they had some difficulty. Apparently, I believe it's Meadows and Patel that are in negotiations. So now this is a negotiation, right? Of, oh yeah, we plan on showing up, but we got to figure out how and when we're going to show up. And then Scavino, they literally had to track him down because he was hiding up in a bunker somewhere in order to serve him the subpoena. So now odds are a lot of these people are not planning on showing up, but Bannon is the only one that outright said, no, I'm just not going to do it. It's not going to happen. Not going to happen. So now you're, of course, hearing about executive privilege. You're going to hear about it a lot. Again, fascinating because Donald Trump could no longer have executive privilege. He is a private citizen, no longer president. Now, of course, there has been a long-standing tradition that when a president is no longer a president, well, everybody just kind of ignores anything that they've done. And it generally worked out pretty good for previous presidents. For example, nobody could take George W. Bush to task for war crimes, or President Obama for war crimes, or Donald, well, I guess in this case, not even Donald Trump for war crimes. This is for something completely different. This is for January 6th. And so Trump disrupts that entire thing because he actually did go with Bannon and speak to Bannon and actually organize this insurrection attempt. And by the way, when it was happening, refused to do anything about it. He sat back and he watched, enjoyed it, the whole thing. So it is very interesting how they're both all claiming executive privilege. But again, it's kind of because our system allowed it to happen and nobody's challenged it because it was never in this case, the establishment's best interests to challenge that, because then you'd have to go back and challenge a bunch of other presidents for things that they have done wrong. And so they never really wanted to do it, but now they actually do have a reason to go after Trump. The establishment does. Okay? So now the thing is, for Bannon, executive privilege makes absolutely no sense because he was fired back in 2017. And during the insurrection, he was a private citizen. So he wasn't even in the administration. So how can he claim executive privilege during that time? Makes no sense to me. And of course, the committee agrees and says, yeah, that does not make any sense. So now NPR is reporting that the committee will now vote on a contempt report for Bannon on Tuesday, following through on its week-long threat of criminal referrals to the Justice Department for those who do not comply, which could lead to potential fines and jail time. We can only hope. Committee Chair Representative Bennie Thompson said in a statement, quote, Bannon has declined to cooperate with the Select Committee and is instead hiding behind the former president's insufficient blanket and vague statements regarding privileges he is purported to invoke. We reject his position entirely. Good. I actually do hope they come from, if they don't, understand that if this committee does not exercise its power, it will look weak and feckless. That is the worst thing that you can do. It's not what you want to do when you deal with an attempted insurrection. One that Steve Bannon admitted he helped plan. So now you're going to have to. You gotta. So now, Bannon, this is according to Robert Costa and Bob Woodward's book, Bannon was having meetings with Donald Trump, Giuliani, on the day before the insurrection. In fact, Bannon told Trump to focus on January 6th. He said that it was, quote, the moment for a reckoning. People are going to go, what the F is going on here? We're going to bury Biden on January 6th. Effing bury him. If Republicans can cast enough shadow on Biden's victory on January 6th, it'd be hard for Biden to govern. Millions of Americans would consider him illegitimate. They would ignore him, they would dismiss him, and wait for Trump to run again. We're going to kill it in the crib, kill the Biden presidency in the crib. Later on in his podcast, he says, it killed itself. Just look at what this illegitimate regime is doing. It killed itself, okay? But we told you from the very beginning, just expose it, never back down, never give up, and this thing will implode. On that, Woodward and Costa write, it was a planned revolution. Steve Bannon's vision coming to life, bring it all down, blow it up, burn it, and emerge with the power. So understand that this guy, Bannon's knee deep in this shit. He always, as always, he was. So again, you got to do something. If he does not comply, you have to do what is necessary. That means jail time. Lock him up. He is a criminal. Literally, also a criminal beforehand. Remember, he was pardoned by Trump for literally scamming people out of money for a wall and spending it on himself. If that committee does not vote to hold him in contempt and put him in jail if he refuses to comply, then they might as well go home. They might as well go home because rule of law no longer exists. And no one will suffer any consequences for insurrection ever in this country, which means, of course, they're inviting people to do it again. If you enjoyed this video, please give us a like and share with your friends. You can subscribe and help out the channel by becoming a patron. It's patreon.com/Jeff Waldorf, or you can become a channel member as well by hitting the join button below.